Hey man, LMTV podcast. We got a special guest today. You know, someone who's really doing a lot in the community, man, and doing a lot of murals and a lot of drawings. Working with the museum in downtown Riverside. I mean, he's a community artist in residence at the Riverside Art Museum, a muralist, national medalist, and most importantly, the founder of Eastside Art House, man. Juan Navarro, welcome to LMTV podcast,
Yeah,
man.
thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Trust the process. Episode 11. We back live on your screen, man. I'm glad you came, and I seen you did what is it, the music and or arts and music festival recently, right?
Yes, so that was a partnership with the city of Riverside, Clarissa Cervantes, which is the Ward 2 councilwoman, and the East Side Art House, and a pop-up company called Pocket Change Pop-Up. So all of us, it was a team effort for sure.
Okay.
But I'm really glad that we got our logo on the banner. We helped like organize it.
I seen you guys had lowriders right there too.
Yes, we did. So we partnered with Spotless Detail Supply. It's off 14th Street. It's a new business. So if you have anyone that does like car washing or needs some type, or you have a really nice car you just want to maintain, check them out. They actually help curate that show. So what was important to me being part of that event was to plug in people in the community to make sure that they were part of it or they had work and I did the best. I couldn't bring everyone in, but I did my best to really connect the artist community, but also the local community and local businesses. So when the event happened, everyone would be seen. So
Yeah, it was a good turnout. I seen a lot of people. I wasn't able to make it. I had to go to Hollywood, but I seen it, man. That's great, man. You doing a lot of things for the community out here.
yeah, I mean, that was our biggest event ever. Like prior, we've had some private events at the Eastside Art House, maybe 300, 500 people max. This
That's still a good
event
amount.
was 4,000 throughout the day. So
What?
it was
For
packed.
real?
Yeah, Lincoln
Dang.
Park was so packed. Yeah.
That's what's up. You
So-
throughout the day, people coming and going.
Yes. Of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
That's
It
cool,
was
man.
awesome.
Yeah, next time I gotta go and videotape it. I really wanted to do that,
Mhm.
like videotape throughout the whole day with the drone and all that,
Mhm.
and put that together. I'm definitely got to be at the second one.
Yeah, I hope this is like an annual thing. We'll see. I mean, it was city funded with the local vibes event, so it's kind of special funding that the city gives to different areas of Riverside, and each area of Riverside and their council person with the neighborhood decides what kind of events they throw on. And thankfully, we have arts and culture in our community,
Right.
specifically in Eastside Riverside, and I really wanted to show the community that what we're capable of too, because it's very rare. I don't think it's never happened
I don't think it's been done
ever.
right there.
Yeah.
Nah.
So it's our first time ever at that park
Yeah.
where we got city's sponsorship for something like this.
Yeah, I seen the city was backing you guys up. Like, man, that's cool. What does it feel like? How does it feel to work with the city, man? And you guys, have each other's back like that.
Yeah, it's a balance. I think for me as an artist, like I think art allows you to connect with a lot of types of people, from everyday people in our neighborhood, like cousins, uncles, aunts.
Just like music and arts, it goes
Yeah,
together.
and then it really kind of what walls would be there, it kind of breaks them. So like when people experience art or what you're doing, like they're open minded. So for me, yeah, like probably
You could put the
before-
mic just a little closer,
All right.
so it catches you.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Working with the city is it can have its own challenges as well. Like there's definitely a lot of process to become like a vendor, having the right insurances, having a business license, having all these requirements to even like collaborate with them.
Dang, I was actually thinking about that, like business license and the stuff you really got to have behind the scenes.
Yeah, so that's like a whole bunch of work within itself. So it's not as casual as like, hey, let's do this together. All right, cool. It's like a lot of structure, but thankfully I pulled through. It's not an easy thing.
You trusted the process, man.
Yeah, and I've been working on it. And it took 3 months to organize something like that. But at the end of the day, the city are just people in our neighborhood as well. They just so happen to work for the city. So I'm just grateful to partner with all types of people with different backgrounds, whether it's a nonprofit, private businesses, people in our neighbors in our neighborhood, and even people in government as well. So for me, I'm just trying to find a common ground. Like obviously realizing like what are the needs of everyone and how can we all collaborate and meet everyone's goals. And if everyone's like, there could always be a win-win-win-win-win situation.
Right.
And I'm just trying to be the glue. That's kind of like my goal, and that's kind of what I set myself to be as a community leader, or that's how I want to lead. And hoping that my efforts just bring good things to our community where anyone could experience it, and a lot of stuff was free that day. Like,
And that's cool what you're doing, man. Because I seen these kids out here, they able to paint and they're doing, like you said, maybe for free.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's cool. Like you're doing something you're doing something that's never been done before. Same thing like with this podcast is never. I don't think anybody I've seen a Riverside podcast and give locals and local artists like a platform to showcase their talent and give them their story and let the people know. We got a lot of talent out here, and there's a lot of growth and positivity on the way.
Yeah, and I believe that that's why I think podcasts like these are special because it really reminds me of like this concept when I talk to other artists. And I'm not in the music scene. I know you're in the music scene, the local music scene, and you feature local artists. For me, like when I speak of artists, I'm talking about muralists and painters,
Right.
because that's just what I know, right? So when I work with them through the East Side Art House, like we have to understand that we really verify each other. So when we collaborate on a project, or someone asks about, oh, how's that person, sometimes there's people just like wanting to see like, oh, how's it working with that person. And our goal is hopefully if you had a good experience, we'd get a good review,
Right.
and if we're not endorsing each other, it's very hard for me to say, hey, this is what I've done, check me out. Like no one's going to receive that, right? But if you put your head down, you get to work and you serve, others will talk about how you served them. And I think that's like very powerful. So that's why I'm grateful to be on this podcast, to, be featured and also share my story,
Right.
because it's very, I'm not going to start a podcast and be like, hey, this is what I did. Because
Yeah.
that's just not the way the world works. And it's all about relationships and connections. So, and it's a form of like a higher form of networking too. So,
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. So let's let the people know a little bit more about Juan Navarro, man, and how was it growing up as a kid? Where did you grow up? And the family at the house.
yeah. So that's, it was pretty, this I remember a lot of my childhood. I don't know how many people live their life and also think back on their childhood. But I'm also a person that wants to live in the moment and also live in the future, right? Like
Right.
our mind could be in three different places.
Mm.
Um, but I do reflect on like what are some things that I had to go through to become who I am today. Like sometimes not all the things that I go through was because good things happened in my life. Yes, there was hope in every part of my life.
Yeah.
But there was also hardships, and I think it's very common for first generation, even second generation Latinos, to go through difficulties. And I talked about that with my peers too. It's like sometimes if you're like sixth generation Riverside and your family did really well, you'd be known, and your connections and your growth is almost promised, like,
Right.
or it's, you're just so in tune with the community. So that's why it's so important for me to connect others to the
I
community,
like that. I like that.
because we're born without connections. Like we're born not knowing anyone around us. So we need to work really hard and exceptional and be almost like the best that we can be to be recognized and to be welcomed to a table of connections, right? So for me, I don't know, my childhood was, yeah, my mom and my dad came from Mexico at 20 to work.
Mm-hmm.
They fell in love and they had kids here, and they had hardships. Anyone that has younger people or younger kids understand the difficulties of the early years of having children, and unfortunately they were at a disadvantage too. They had no documentation. They had to work all day. One had to work all day, and then the other one had to work all night. And unfortunately, there was like a moment where my stepdad, who lived across the street, kind of made promises to my mom about like, hey, I'll give you everything your dreams desire. You know, I'm about to inherit this house. Like, I'll give you documentations. I'm a citizen. Blah blah blah. And you know, there's all these promises, bro. And unfortunately, like, all it turned out to be was, you know, my mom left my dad, and so my biological dad lost his family. It was me and my two brothers, and we went with my stepdad, and I was two. You know, my younger brother was one, so it was just like such an early marriage with young children, and then kind of like robbed and manipulated into like a new relationship.
Right.
And unfortunately, my stepdad was not all that he promised. I mean, he did bring us to church, and I'm grateful for that. Like, and that's one of the reasons why I've had a lot of belief or faith, or at least relied on people at in that community to guide me with wisdom. But my stepdad was just like pretty abusive, and unfortunately, I mean, he passed away from cancer, so he's no longer with us. I mean, we didn't have to do anything to get revenge or anything like that. Like nature took its course, but unfortunately, in public, he was the nicest guy. Everyone thought he was the coolest person ever.
Yeah.
But in private, like, we went through a lot of abuse, and not a lot of people know this. Not even my mom didn't even realize what was going on.
Right. Right.
And unfortunately, like, yeah, me and my brother suffered a lot in private, and we never kind of shared any of that until, I mean, now, like, I'm dropping on this podcast, but
Right.
it's very easy to see someone like me with, obviously, I have a very blessed life now. Like, I have
You're
an
blessed.
opportunity. Yeah, I have opportunities that I would never imagine. Like, like, in my childhood, I would never dream I'd be at this level. Like, the best I dream was like, hey, I'll just have a job and work somewhere. You know, like, I don't care where. You know.
When did you start getting into, you know, murals or even just painting? How did that idea
Yeah.
come, and how that come around?
Yeah, so I mean, the first, like, in childhood was like, you know, me and my brother stuck close together, going through those hardships and that hard time.
Yeah.
And my older brother was actually an artist. The first one in our family, I feel like my older brother was like, he brought home a drawing one day, and I was so impressed. I'm like, whoa, you drew that? He's like, yes. I'm like, that was just like, and I always admired like what he did. He was 3 years older than me, so I always felt like I can't
You were
wait.
looking up to
Yeah.
what he was doing.
Yeah,
For
I looked
sure.
up to him. I'm like, I can't wait to grow up, you know, to get out of here.
Yeah.
And when he was at North High School, and you know, he's 3 years, so he was a senior. I was a freshman.
Oh, okay. So he was your older. He was what? Junior,
Yeah.
freshman.
No, he was a senior and I was a freshman. So
Okay.
he was 3 years older than me. And okay, cool. Yeah, so we're at North together. There's 1 year we got to be together when I was coming in. He was leaving, and he basically said, well, he was into graffiti, and all his homies were into like sticker bombing or like tagging with streakers, and had black books, and you know, there's different graffiti crews at that time. I think at that time it was RSK and SCF and other like local graffiti cliques and groups.
Right.
I didn't understand much of it because I was like an honor roll student with like the perfect grades, advanced, and like, so like, even though I was part of the culture, like none of my like, no one knew, like no one in the adult world, right? And then one time I lost my graffiti book, and then the teacher like confiscated it, and I came back. I'm like, hey, I left the book here. It's my art book. Like, can I get it back? And then they're like, nah, that's not yours. You're picking it up for someone else, aren't you? I'm like, no, it's mine.
Oh, dang. So that was some real graffiti stuff in there.
Yeah.
Just the look of it. Just the look alone.
Yeah. And there's names there because we would pass it around. So yeah, there were some people that were doing it more actively than I was, right?
Right.
But if you had any name in that book, you'd get charged for it because you had possession of it. So they would try to just pin someone random, even if it wasn't that student.
Yeah, I remember because them tagging in like the bathrooms and all that. So they were on there. I remember when we were at North High School?
Yeah, it was a big deal, and basically, I kind of just never went for it. And honestly, I was still a good student. I wanted to honor my parents despite the difficulties. So, but that was, I think it was graffiti, and it was a train off of, like, right there where Smart Final is, 3rd and Mulberry, that train that goes through, or like even that Metrolink station here in Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anytime the trains go by and you could see those bombs, that was the art that inspired us. So to us, like, we didn't know the difference between legal or illegal. We just saw color, design, and we could read it, and we would try to decode it. And then we were also making our own lettering as well. And then obviously people wanted us to make art for them. So
Is that how you kind of got good at the murals, by doing such like maybe big pieces or something, like, things like that?
Yeah, I would say later in life. I would be after high school that would go into warehouses, like abandoned warehouses, where everything was just like safe. Like, I wasn't trying to do it against authority. I was more like, I do want to practice, but I don't have an opportunity to get on a wall. So let's jump over this fence. There's an abandoned warehouse, or under overpasses, under bridges,
Right.
where it's just quiet and peaceful. So
Yeah.
I would that would be my first time like creating art, with a spray can on a larger scale. But that was just like kind of where it came from. And that's just part of growing up in the East Side too. Like, graffiti was a big deal, whether it was like, gangster graffiti. I mean, had his own tagging style. Like, that was cool too, those lettering. And then there was the art one that was coming from like LA and New York, and that was like an art centric, but they also had the same, like, they would get fights over it. Like, there was still a lot.
Yeah, there was still tension. I remember in high school there was still tension, like, just between tagging crews, or it almost started turning into something else.
Yeah. So, but we kind of we kept it neutral too. We loved the artwork, me and my brother, but we didn't really get involved like too deep. But it's because we're in it for the art. And
right. And what elementary and high school did you go to by chance? You in Riverside?
Yes. So I went to Bryant Elementary, and from there I went to Central Middle School for a year, and then I went to Gage Middle School for another year.
I think that's where I remember you from. Gage, really? Gage or North? I don't remember.
Oh, okay. You went to Gage too?
Yeah, I went to Gage.
Cool. What year are you?
I graduated 2012.
Oh, okay, yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I know. So I remember. I remember.
We have been around then.
I do remember you though. I do remember you just seeing you maybe in either Gage or North, but then I started seeing you. Once you started doing the murals and started your East Side Art House, that's when I really started seeing you. Making moves and plays out here, man, for the city.
Yeah, like, it took me a while to go from schooling into where I'm at today. A lot of people think like, oh, it just came out of nowhere, but I've been working for, like, I would say 9 years towards this dream.
Right.
And it's barely bringing fruit. Just now, this year is finally the day that what 9 years took to build. But like, even
it's all uphill.
It's all uphill for a long time. And a lot of people that want similar, like, achievements, they believe like, oh, I want it tomorrow, I want it the next day, not realizing that it's a lifelong commitment to it, despite people telling you in your face, bro, why don't you just get a job?
Like, honestly, because that's gonna be the first. That's gonna be the first thing. And then even, like, I do believe, even when you get off of work, you still gotta go chase your dream, or whatever whatever that thought, whatever you first thing you wake up and think about in the morning. Like, you go chase that. Like, don't forget about it. Don't push it to the side, and really go put it into life. Just
yeah,
it could really happen if you put some action behind that thought.
Yes.
And trust the process. Trust the process. Episode 11. Like I said, we got Juan Navarro right here, man. He, one of the best, I believe, painters, or muralists.
Yeah.
Man, he did the one in Casablanca. I seen that one on Madison, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the one, on Park Avenue, he did that whole one too. I mean, all the way down Park, he did all that. And then what other ones you doing downtown? Do you do any other ones in downtown Riverside?
So I've kind of been so focused on our community here in Eastside Riverside, I did not put my focus on wanting to do anything in downtown right now. Right, there's nothing against downtown.
Right.
It's just that downtown already has their key players, and they have had muralists and murals for a long time. But why would I want to compete in a space knowing that the community next door has zero murals.
I love how you started filling up. You bring everything to
So,
life. Like you're bringing, like you want to go take that drive down that
yeah,
street. Like bro, like that's what I. Once you started doing it down Park,
yeah,
like I was like, man, like you want to go drive around these places just to see the artwork. You know, it just makes
yeah,
everything. It just makes the city, you know, glow a little bit more. You know,
yeah.
straight up.
And for me, I dreamed of that years before I started painting it. And I even talked to a friend. Her name's Megan Jones, and I told her this street needs revitalization. Like, it's, people have banners everywhere. They're mixed matched. I'm like, art can help this whole street. And then just kind of vision casting, like what would it look like improved, like even a fresh coat of paint on the building.
Right.
And what's cool about art, and just from a museum perspective, because a lot of these artworks are sponsored by the Riverside Art Museum and other supporting agencies. Like the one on Parks Avenue was sponsored by U.S. Bank. So U.S. Bank donates money to the museum, and then the museum disperses that money to different programs. And part of that program is my artist in residence.
Okay.
So the cool thing is that these things were free to the community, bro. All they had to do is say yes. And when I talked to them, like, these are just gifts. Like, if we were all to pay for the murals and my time to like focus, like it would almost be like very, very difficult for the local businesses to have this type of service, right?
Right. Right.
But I did the best that I could with the time that I had. But what's unique about all these murals is not just me that made them.
You have your team with you, right?
Yes, we brought an emerging artist, Rosie Cortez, for some of them.
Shout out Rosie, man.
Yeah, and then we have like artists down at RC's. We had 5 artists, Matt Luther. We had Juan Cuevas, down in Toledo, Dreddy.
Shout out to all you guys, man.
Yeah, so all those artists. So as I'm building these murals, I don't just like I didn't want opportunity just for myself. I asked the museum to say, can you just hire other people too? So a lot of them are big collabs. Even I did one with Miriam and Willis on the Masonic Lodge. So like I'm always trying to bring not just much more than just for me. Like, hey, can we take care of other people? And that's always my question to the people that hire me. And then they're like, all right, we're gonna try to make it work, and they do, But yeah, so it's been an inclusive experience for artists, but also an inclusive experience for the community. Did you know that over 200 volunteers contributed to all the murals on Park? So it wasn't just me that painted it and the artist.
Dang, 200.
Yeah, so we had days that we opened up. So there would be Saturday and Sundays. We would have 4-hour shifts where anyone in the neighborhood could come out and paint it with us.
Nice.
So yeah, 200 people that live in that area.
Oh, that's tight. That's tight. So anybody, you just walk down the street. Yeah, I'm pulling up. Let me, grab a brush and do it.
Yeah, or like you never used a spray gun before. We teach them right then and there. And yes, that slows down our work, and it makes it longer, But at the same time, it's meaningful because now the neighborhood can say, "Hey, I painted that."
That's tight. That's tight.
It wasn't just like an artist that we don't know. It's like I painted that. So to me, people, that's what makes it difficult. I think that's what makes my work difficult. It's being able to, if you're an artist, you want to have full control. Like, say you're making a song, but then say like you got 5 people in a room, you got to teach them how to be a musician, and you guys have to come out with the beat by the end of the day or
put
week,
the words together, however it is.
It's like, yo, so you're working with a team. It's hard enough working with a team that with already professional musicians. Like, imagine people with zero experience and then producing the best song you can.
Yeah.
So to me, that's my challenge, and that's why the murals that I've made, they're special, not because they look amazing. For some people, they'll look amazing. For others, they'll be like, I wish there were a different style, or I wish they were like, maybe more aesthetically difficult.
Right.
But for me, I said, like, sometimes it's not about like what the finished product looked like. It was more about the process.
That process.
Of how you got there.
Yeah. Sometimes the process means a lot more, man. Like it does.
Yeah, so that's what's special about my residency. That's the artist in residency.
Because I seen it on your description. Mm-hmm. That was one thing that I didn't really know what it was.
Yeah, so my artist in residency is designed to give bring art to your door, not like bring you out of your house into the museum. It's the museum's extension to say, how can we bring art programming and making it accessible to a lot of people in the community. and that's why I'm an expert at. Like that's what I've been doing. I have the residency for the last 7 years.
Oh man.
So it's been like, and it continues to be awarded. And a lot of people are like wondering, like, why do you get chosen every time?
I seen you got invited to the White House.
Yeah.
What was that? How did that take place? Break that down for the people,
Well,
because I was like, what? My boy grew up in East Riverside, and he got invited to the White House. That's an accomplishment
Yeah, like
in itself, man. Riverside, stand up.
Yeah, that's crazy. So the reason I got invited to the White House, sorry, was because the Riverside Art Museum was already getting the recognition, right? They're getting the medal. It's called for Museum and Library Services. And this medal is about how they serve the community. So the museum serves the community in many ways. They have a program called Art to Go, where they bring teachers to elementary schools and they teach them how to do art. They have programming in the museum. So say like the kids that need summer like things to do, and you can bring your kids there and they can learn about art. And then the third component of how they serve the community is through me and through the residency, right? So they have an artist in residency serving the community through art programming outside. So I'm not really in the museum. I'm in my house and in the community all the time. Right. So they had given 3 people as like the main like examples of their service.
Right.
So I got interviewed by the White House, and out of everyone nominated, I was chosen to go.
Dang.
And I was just sharing my story, exactly what I'm sharing right here on the podcast. I told the lady on the phone, hey, this is how I live my life. Yes, I'm an artist, and yes, I paint, but I don't paint for me. I paint for others. And this is how I show that. And there's even some murals where you won't even see my signature on it because I don't feel right signing those murals, because so many people like gave influence and thought to it.
Right.
That I
can write all the names
it's
down.
It's just like, yeah, we wouldn't be able to. It'd be like, man, the credits are too long. You know what? No one gets credit. Everyone gets to enjoy it. It's like a mystery artist, and that's why a lot of people don't even know who did the murals. But I just did it out of like honor the community too. Like, it may seem like, oh, he's just trying to put his name up everywhere. It's really not. Like, if it was up to me, I probably would have painted something completely different. If it was just my choice.
Right.
But it's kind of like giving your talent up for others in hopes that they feel seen. And the answer is yes, they do feel seen.
And that's the best feeling too. And that's what you want everyone around you to feel.
Yeah.
Like, accomplished, like good energy, good vibes. It's like, man, you could do this. Like, it's not just me, it's all of us.
Yeah,
that's
so
really what it is.
I was painting the Casablanca mural. So finally, Casablanca was asking for me to come over for 4 years, bro. They've been hitting me up. They're like, why are you always painting the east side? Like, come on, share the love.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you were like, come on, my boy, come over here.
And there's so many people. Not even Casablanca, like even other neighborhoods as well. Like, hey, when can we partner? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yo, I'm focused on my residency.
Because you do got, I'm telling you, the most talented, like, dude, none of these murals look like no other. You can't compare. I mean, everybody got talent. I'm not saying that, but they stand out. I could say that they stand out.
Thank you. And again, like,
how did you come up with the idea for that Casablanca one?
Yeah. So I was gonna, right before we transition to that, I just want to talk about like the White House real quick.
Okay. Yeah. So we jumped.
Yeah, I was climbing the ladder, right?
Yeah.
And I was painting Casablanca. And what are the chances? Like, this is just crazy destiny, or I don't know what's going on. But the White House calls me while I was painting a Casablanca mural. And then they had called me 2 days before. The museum's like, someone might call you to interview you. So heads up, you might go to the White House. I'm like, what? It was just a surprise.
You're like, don't fall off the ladder. Get down quick. Get down real quick.
Every time I'm giving a presentation about that story, I said, what is Casablanca in English? White House. It's like, yo, what? Like, what are the chances that like these two stories collided? Finally, Casablanca was able to find a sponsor through the Beautify Riverside with the mayor. So she started her own mural program as well, and the mayor office like recommended me to work with Altura, and Altura sponsored the Casablanca mural. So yeah. And how did I come up with the design? That's kind of what you asked me, right?
Yeah, because it's nice, man. Even the colors that you choose, I don't know how you come up with these colors, but it just goes. Like, it just goes.
And Casablanca was a big risk because, man, I slapped a whole bunch of orange on that wall. Like, the whole thing was orange. And, I mean, obviously with other colors as well. It's just like our Latino community, we're proud people, and we should be because I feel like we're full of hard workers and people that won't give up. You know, like it doesn't matter how hard life gets, we're gonna push through,
Yes, sir.
and we earn. Yeah, it's like very commonly known that like Latinos are some hardworking people, no matter what. You know,
Yeah.
we're not afraid of the sun. You know, however, whatever hardships we're gonna get work done. So, for me, putting a sense of like just making it very vibrant was an important aspect for me. But I also work with Richard. He was actually one of the workers at Altura who grew up in CB.
Okay.
So he gave me a tour and introduced me to the community leaders.
Right.
So I talked to community leaders. It's called their group is called CAG, and they're like the OGs of Casablanca that are also very educated, meaning they went to like graduate from UCR. They're part of like they actually write for the newspaper. Some of them,
Right.
like so these are people that have been preserving and writing the history. Like they just care about our story being remembered and told. So then I just referenced from them, and they just poured the whole Casablanca story into me. And I took the tour around the neighborhood. I photographed different aspects and even different murals. So previous muralists in Casablanca created some of the imagery that I used in the main mural, but I did it to like a nod to even the muralists that came before me in Casablanca. So the citrus box label was that's in the middle. It says Casablanca. That was actually a 1920 vintage citrus label seal that was used during the export of citrus, right?
Okay.
And as one of our the reasons that Riverside exists is because the economy of the citrus at that time.
Right. Right.
And that was later painted at Ismael Vegas Park, like maybe years later. And that mural is now aging. So I wanted to bring it back to life and put it at the front of the community
Right. Right.
as they're coming in. So there's a lot of elements that were given from the previous artists. And for me to honor them, I referenced those things and kind of remix it. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
how,
Your own little twist on it.
yeah,
Your own little
like
twist.
basically how artists sample like historical beats or beats that come from the past.
Yeah, and they
I
kind of remake
remix
them.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was like for me, like I did borrow some elements even.
I
in
always go.
Lincoln
I
Avenue.
always drive down Madison. I'll drive down Madison just to look at it. Boom! Right when you go over those railroad tracks.
Yeah, and I don't know the most special part that I was able to discover during this process was I always thought the statue of the military guy in downtown Riverside. I thought he was a white guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I guess I should have just read the plaque, but when you're little, you're just going by and you're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But for me, like it turns out like it was a Latino from Casablanca.
Oh shoot, that's tight.
And and he has a whole park named after him, and his family still lives there.
Oh damn.
And like he won the highest honor of military honor, and it wasn't just him. There's a lot of people from the East Side and Casablanca neighborhood that excelled in the military, and they all were born in these neighborhoods. So a lot of Hispanics fought the wars for America, like
That's
World
cool
War
facts
II.
right there. I didn't know that.
And they're one of the highest honored military men. So in Riverside, like Latinos are the biggest warriors. And why? Because
Yeah.
they grew up in difficult neighborhoods.
Right.
So whatever they learned to survive in these neighborhoods,
Once
they
you
were
go,
able
once
to
you walk
apply
out,
it.
once you walk out the door, that's it. You
Yeah.
know?
So it's like, for me, I was amazed. I was like, man, like even the story being preserved and just to kind of just say it again. I just said it again in the mural. I painted that statue that was referenced from downtown in this neighborhood, and I brought the statue there of Ismael Vegas, and I just wanted people to remember like his sacrifice. He gave his life for us in war, but if you actually look up his Wikipedia, he took a lot of people out. Like he just like went out and just kept going until he was stopped. But
Yeah.
he took a lot of people with him, and that was celebrated back in the day, right? Like war heroes were celebrated. Like, hey,
Yeah.
that was with purpose. Like he did it the purpose of honoring his country, and I think if as like people that come from this neighborhood, we should have that sense of like pride and excellence too. Man, he had it in war, but for us, thankfully, for those that are not participating in that right now, even Richard, he's actually a military guy, so he works for the bank, but he's also in the military right now. So there are still people in our neighborhood signing up, right?
Yeah.
But the people that stay here as civilians too, like we should try to chase or have that ambition
Yes, sir.
and give it all every day. And that's kind of what that story inspired me. And that's just something that I also do in a smaller way, right? I'm not giving my life, but I do give a lot of my time. And some days it's just 12-hour days,
And time you
like
don't get
six,
back. Time something you
yeah,
don't get back. I mean,
yeah, 12-hour days, 6 days a week, like just working hard,
6 days a week, 12-hour days, man.
yeah, and just and a lot of it's on the computer, like emails and social media, and then and maybe 1 week out of the whole month I get to paint. So a lot of misconception that like you're an artist, don't you paint all the time? Like, oh, aren't
Right.
you just like in your studio painting a painting? It's like
They're just waiting. They're
no,
just probably waiting to see another dope mural. Or, they're like, man, what are you doing? Like, man, I'm busy, bro. Like, there's a lot going on.
yeah,
Running a business, doing what you're doing.
yeah. So running a business, and then also being an independent artist, right? So I run the East Side Art House social media account and the whole business, and then I also run Love Monsters, or my personal account, and also my personal like mural contracts, right? So a lot of these murals, a lot of people think it's like, oh, you just knock on a door, right? And you just ask them, can I paint your wall?
Right.
And they give you money. It's like, no, like it's a lot deeper than that. It takes months to set it up sometimes, whether it's like the admin part of like business license, insurances, and all this stuff. Then the next part is like working with the community and like getting all these opinions and writing them all down, or building like survey questions to like really get all the data organized, and then reviewing all of that, and then sleeping on it, and then trying to imagine an art piece that fits an opinion of a big group. And how can I go, and then going back and saying, look, this is what I'm going to keep from everything you guys gave me, and this is what it's not going to happen.
Right.
And then finally have the ingredients to cook up a mural. So then finally I get to design the mural, which takes me another 2 weeks, and then finally I get to paint it. So it's
Man, you broke that down right there.
Yeah,
You
so
broke that down good.
that's the model, and that's why it takes so long for projects to happen, and that's why that whole process is 3 weeks, and then maybe the last week of the month I get to paint, which my favorite part is obviously painting. I do all this to paint,
right,
as well, but also to
that's what you fell in love with. Now it's a bigger purpose. Now you're doing it for a bigger purpose.
yeah, and I kind of like, and again, I was just starting out. When I started, I was technically just starting out too. Like, I didn't go to art school. I don't have the degree of that my peers at the East Side Art House do. Like, they have masters in art. They have like bachelors in fine art as well. Some of them are technically even better painters than me. Like, they have
that's crazy for people out there just to know that, like, if you really ambitious and you really know what you want in life and you really set that goal like you're doing now, like, man, you could really do it. Yeah. It's not easy.
No,
it's not easy. My boy been at it for a while. Yeah. How long you said? What, seven,
I say
nine
9 years of like saying I'm going to be a full-time artist, like 9 years. And it's not just till now that we see the results of that. And it was so hard, bro. Like, yes, there's even the first like 3 years I was helping my brother's father-in-law in a car wash business. So I would detail cars and in the hot sun at 100 degrees, and we'd do 20 cars a day or more, and they were spotless, but.
And that goes back to you saying, don't let someone tell you, oh, you go get a job. Like, yeah, it's okay. But really, if you got that idea or that goal you want in life, really go chase it.
Yeah. And then like build other streams of income to maintain you until you hit your dream.
Right.
Like now I could technically be a full-time artist. I could say I'm a full-time artist because now I have so much different streams of income or different opportunities that instead of me like trying to find work, like they're like, oh, you should sign up for this. Or you should try to do this.
You probably turning it down like, hey man, I don't got time for that this month. Hey, maybe next one, maybe next month.
Yeah. So that's where it's at now. And that was my dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that never happened for a long time. Yeah. This is year 1. So this is the first year in my dream, and I don't know where life's going to take me, but my dream also coincides with the dream of the community. So our big event that you talked about, the Arts and Music Festival, was a dream for our community. Like, people that were living in the East Side for 50 plus years said, never in my life have I seen any type of investment from the city in this way for us. And when I hear those words, that's what brings my purpose like to life. Like, it's not the sustainability, it's not like the results, is that what I'm asking for, am I providing the value equal to what I'm asking for? So if I get paid am I really changing people's lives? Because if I'm not, then I don't deserve to get paid. But if
Right.
people's lives are being changed in the midst of my success and their life is improving, then I do deserve what I have, you know. And some people may look at me and be like, "Bro, that guy does not deserve what he has," and but they don't. But they weren't sitting with me for those 12 hours,
Yeah,
or the nights I didn't sleep, you know.
well, yeah, they weren't there these last 9 years when you brought that thought in your head and brought it to life, and look what you got now. Like
Yeah.
you can never hate on nobody. You can never hate on nobody who's doing something for the community, bringing community up. Like nobody's done what you've done, like you just said, and that's what it is, man. Trust the process.
And I still get comments to this day. Some people are like, "Yeah, I was gonna do that," or "I had that in
But
mind."
you didn't.
Yeah, and
That's
that's my
really what it
answer
is,
in
bro.
my
That's
mind.
really what it is. You will hear that. Like I was gonna
Like,
do
I
that
was gonna
too.
take care of the east side. I've heard people say that, and I'm like,
Yeah,
well, you didn't. Like, you've been around longer than I have. You
yeah,
know, you're older than I have been. But did you? Like, where were you then? And the thing is, I do take pride in my work, but I also reinvest it a lot back into the community. So that's why the East Side Art House exists. Was because if it wasn't for the East Side community inviting me back to work with them, I would not be a full time artist. So I knew that, you know.
right.
I am all about reciprocating the honor they gave me because without the community saying, "Hey, we want to work with Juan again," it's not
Mm.
like me saying, "Hey, I want to work with them again." No, no, like the museum's gonna go straight to the community and be like, "Hey, how was it working with Juan?
Right,
You
right.
know, should we bring him back or not?" And then
Yeah.
they advocated for me. So in my heart, I'm like, I'm never gonna forget these people that asked the people that have the resources to fund me for me to come back. So I'm like, I'm gonna put all that money and build a business for this community that everyone's proud of. So then I brought the East Side Art House. Instead of like, like going somewhere else or moving out or going to a different community, and that might happen in the future. I don't know. But I'm like, I'm always gonna leave a piece of myself here, and I'm gonna build this business. So I'm forced to have a commitment,
Right.
ongoing forever for the rest of my life in this community. Like, and then one time, I mean, a homeless broke in when I just opened,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, "Well, I guess you forgot to lock the door because he didn't look like he forced himself in." And I told him, "Well, like I just want him out, bro. Like I can't have him like pretending he's a member. He's like telling me he's the owner. I'm the owner. Like he needs to get
Man,
out."
that's crazy.
So then the cops removed him, and then on the way out, like they're like, "Why'd you start this business here? Do you know where you're at?" And I'm like,
Man.
"Yeah, I know where I'm at. I've been here for years." Like, what are you talking about? They're like, well, like this happened over here, and this is dangerous over here, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay. It's like, this is such a nice place. It could be somewhere else, right? And a
Right.
lot of it could be like, it could be in downtown or it could be in a more affluent neighborhood. But my answer is like, yeah, but you don't understand. Like, these people made me, so I'm going to make this place for the people too.
Dope. Dope.
So that's kind of like my subconsciousness, and I just want to keep it real. I don't share this with
No.
like everyone, but
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah.
your podcast, I think the people that are gonna watch this, they need to know like
Yeah.
I chose to invest here, all the wins from the murals to build a business to then start back at zero again. So now I'm back at zero and I'm starting the art house and it's been tough. Like it's the next 3 years. I started in 2021. Now we're in year 3. It's been hard to keep the doors open, but we keep fighting and we keep pushing. And then it's always about like my confidence in my future is that I am willing to lose it all anyways. Like I
That's that.
came
That's
from nothing.
yeah.
Like if something just everything closes down, nothing works out, it never happens again. I'm like, okay, well, I had nothing when I came here. I was,
We
so
ain't got nothing to lose. It's
yeah,
just
because I mean, I didn't tell you this part of the story of my childhood is that when I was in middle school, all the way up into towards the last 2 years of high school, our family's home like kind of collapsed on its foundation, and we had to move out. So we were
what?
technically homeless, but then our neighbor says, "Hey, you guys can live at my house till you guys get back on your feet." So it was only going to be like a week or two. It ended up being 6 years.
Damn.
And they gave us one room. So we had 6 people. So we had my stepdad, his mom, my mom, and my 3 brothers. We all slept in one room. And we all slept on the floor. We had one couch and we would rotate on that couch. Like which of my
Damn.
brothers would have it for 1 month at a time.
Yeah.
And even before the residency, I was still sharing a room with my 2 brothers at the other house. When we finally got out of that house, we were able to just be in that. So when it comes to like understanding, that's where it came from, but I still found joy despite those struggles. Like what I have now, it's like, bro, like my mind didn't even imagine the gift of where I'm at today. And I'm super grateful for it. And that's kind of like, and I want to see that happen for others as well. You
Exactly.
know, like I want to see
Exactly.
them grow and build their future and their legacy, as long as they know
And if
what
you
who
if
they
what you
are.
and if what you're doing, like I say,
Yeah,
like inspire daily.
there
Like I
you
want
go.
to inspire daily. Like
Hmm.
what I'm doing, hopefully what I'm doing with this podcast might inspire you to create some. What he's doing in this community, it might inspire you to go chase your dream, or inspire you to go do whatever you have in your head or whatever you dream you could do, because you could do it. Like it's really possible. It's not easy, but it's possible. But yeah, bro, like I like that. Inspire daily, bro. Like really, that's we don't even know. We don't even know we're inspiring someone right now. Your mural,
Yeah,
the murals they drive by, it inspires people every day type stuff.
yeah, and I don't get to hear it unless someone writes me a message or something. And thankfully, once in a while, they'll write me this long message and they'll say, "Hey,
Mm.
your murals like brought me this memory, and this memory means a lot to me, and it encouraged me." You know, and that's what art is. Like art like passes all types of cultures, like politics or religion. It doesn't matter any of your beliefs. If you see art, and that allows us to connect with each other despite our differences. And that's why I work with all types of people. Like,
Right.
hey, like I'm open minded to everyone, and I do believe that there's greatness in everyone. There's a purpose in everyone, and there's a legacy to be built in everyone. And it's just a matter of, do you want to build a story and know that no one else is in control of your story other than you? Like, if
Yeah.
you're over 18, the pen is in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Write your story. And it may not be financial success for 9 years. It may not be,
Yeah,
you know,
man.
like comforts and an easy life.
Yeah.
Like hope for a hard life. And if you can face a hard life with a good heart, then you will have an easy life. Like no matter what.
Man,
Yeah.
he's talking some real stuff, man. Like this is why I wanted you on this podcast too, and to really, hear you out, and because you're doing great things, but now people can actually tap in a little bit more. And
Yeah.
how'd you come across that building, the East Side Art House? It was
Okay.
just, because there ain't a lot of buildings that are even open right there. They've been there for a long time, so.
Yeah, so this happened during COVID. I was actually knocking on the businesses' doors and asking them, "Hey, would you like to be part of this program? We're gonna paint murals on the street." I
Oh,
found resources. All you have to do is say yes if you want it and no if you don't.
right.
And yeah, some people said no. You know, like they're like, "Nah, we don't want any murals." I'm like, "All right, cool. Respectfully, that's cool." I try to do everything like humanely as possible, meaning like I'm not trying to like uproot anything that's here. Like, you know, I just want to add to it.
Mm-hmm.
And if an area, or like say this church doesn't want it, or maybe this building didn't want it, then we just say, all right, respectfully, okay, that's fine. We're just offering it as a gift, and if you guys don't want it, it's
And at
totally.
that time, it was just,
And no one's seen what the results would be, right?
and at that time, it was just for free. You were just saying, "Can I do
Yeah,
this?"
yeah.
Or was it still working? You were still
No,
working with
I
the
had
city.
already prepared a grant with the
Oh,
museum,
okay, okay.
so I've already found the resources of the dream, right?
Right.
And we're just asking and inquiring. So I talked to Pancho. Pancho's appliance. That was the business prior to the East Side Art House, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm up for it." And unfortunately, during COVID, he was an older gentleman and he passed away, and that thing went up for rent. And then the program got put in a standstill for that whole year. They're like, sorry, we can't move forward the program because we can't invite people out to paint the mural with you because of COVID restrictions. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
gotta just do social media for us now, teach some art classes online, and we'll still pay you, but it's not gonna be that program that you wanted.
Mm.
So I had to be patient. I was put back a year,
Damn.
and
Knowing it's up for rent, like.
yeah. But then also like that during that year of like it being pushed back, unfortunately, Don Pancho passes away,
Mm.
and then it was up for rent for like 3 months.
Okay.
And during that time, I got married with my wife Karina, and we had a baby on its way, and it was going to be a son. And I was just like, whoa, like I'm gonna be a dad, and my life is changing, and I have 9 months, and I'm like, I want to build this business because I already been thinking about a space like this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I want to build a space, a safe haven for artists because I didn't grow up with a lot of space. You know, I grew up with 6 people in one room.
Right.
Everything I was doing, it was being watched and it was being criticized. So, like, my dad didn't want me to be an artist. They're like, hey, you need to be a more secure job. You gotta, like, be a lawyer or something. Like,
Yeah.
be better than that. And for me, I'm like, no, I'm gonna do this art thing, and I'm just like stubborn and focused. But I also knew that not everyone has a safe home. So if you want to practice your art and everyone around you is just being negative, then can't you go to a place for $200 a
Mm.
month where everyone around you thinks the same as you and wants the best out of their life and you want it too?
So
So I built the art house as a safe haven. So I basically told my wife, I'm like, give me a chance. I want to invest money in here. We could have chosen either to buy a house or start this business. I put my dream back from buying, even owning a house. I can't even own a house now for another, like, I put it back probably 10 years.
yeah.
Because I had bought then, the houses were cheap enough before inflation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it to be me cost me different dreams. It costs any decision you make is gonna cost you time with towards something else.
Right.
So I made those choices, and it prevents you from enjoying another like comfortable whatever a house somewhere else, like maybe in a nicer area. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna put it back in, and we're gonna keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult, it was difficult for my wife, but we did it, and she's like, yeah, let's do it. And I launched the business, and I called all my friends. I had interior designer friends. Like, it is about your community too. Like, be around people that have special skill sets.
Right.
And the more people that have specialties, then the faster you can move forward.
Almost everybody's an asset. You'd rather be an asset. Like
Yeah.
everybody does something.
Yeah. So then Megan Jones designed my interior design. I kind of gave her an idea of what I wanted. I had people that are already working for. So Tony's market. Tony owns my building.
Right.
So I pay him rent, and it's just that building is for rent. I don't own that building. I just rent it, and it's like month to month for a year contract. So I basically told him, hey, I want to do this. And he's like, well, I have a Zumba instructor with Herbalife people that want this spot. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I'll come tomorrow and I'll give you the cash tomorrow. Can I do it? He's like, all right, I like how you think. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, and
jumped on it. He was like,
yeah. And I'm like, and on top of that, I'm going to put you an AC in there and a heater in there. Because to me, it's also like, I grew up in a studio where I had to be in my garage, and it's like 90, 100 degrees in there in Riverside sometimes in the summer. You can't work there. So I'm like, the first thing I did is put an AC and heater, and that way we can now make art even in all weather. Like, that's important to me. I think about everything that could make someone's life a little bit better. And that's what that space is about. It's like, it has a comfortable environment. It's got Wi-Fi. It's got programs that have specialized computers that help with editing as well. The Adobe suites and then it's just like an open layout, so it's like a classroom, and you go in and just kind of work on your stuff,
right?
And even to this day, like, if you want to have your own studio privately, you're probably gonna have to pay like around 1,800 and above, and I'm only charging $200 a month, which is still a lot of money for a lot of people, especially artists that are just emerging. But I still believe that if you bet on yourself, and it's not gonna happen in year one, you know what I mean?
Hey, I like that. I like that because I say that too. I'm a bet on myself every time. And you really gotta think. People say it looks delusional. Yeah, it's delusional until it happens. Until like bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. People go get it. Trust the process though.
Yeah, for real. So I'm like, I only want people around me that bet on themselves.
Yes, sir.
I can't carry them. Like, I can't be like, oh, it's free, come on in. Like, that's impossible. The business will break like in 3 years. No, and like even in 3 months, like, it will go out of business.
Right.
Like, that's not a business. A business has to have money coming in, money coming out. That's what a business is. You have to let it breathe.
Yes, sir.
And over time, some money should stay, and hopefully build the business enough so you can own your own building, not have to pay rent.
Yes,
so
sir.
that's what businesses are meant. They're meant to make money. And for those that don't understand that, sometimes they're like, well, why aren't you helping me out? Or I just want, like, yeah, like, how much money I put in to bet on this? Like, it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's like tens of thousands to even launch this.
Yeah.
Like, if but you want all of this as a gift for you, like for free, and I don't like, and I just met you yesterday. Like, it's very hard for me to like say, but it took me 9 years to get here, and you just like, hey, can I have it for free? Like, no,
Right.
at least like join and contribute if you want to be part of it, and that's what it is. It's a very simple model. I'm not like,
I seen
and
you got the shirts too.
yeah.
You just got these shirts, right? They can get them. They can go to Eastside Our House and buy these from you, or do they DM
Yeah,
you?
so just DM me. It's super casual. Like, I'm not in the super like merch business, you
Right.
know, but once in a while we'll drop some exclusive during events, and you can buy like those exclusive drops, and then they're limited quantity. So if you want one, just send a DM, and you can support our studio in that way. So that's how people can support our studio,
Yeah,
even
man.
not being
Hey,
part of a member.
tap in. It's Eastside Art House. You can follow on Instagram. That's his main page. And then what's your other page? Love Monster, right?
Yeah, I love Monsters. LUVMONSTERZ.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Go get you some new merch, man. He looked out today, man. I appreciate it too.
Yeah,
I
for
appreciate it,
sure.
man.
I mean, for you, it's a gift, you know, like, for the invite. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. The reason I'm dropping like business stuff too is because I don't think we need to be ashamed of talking about business, because sometimes like I would sit in downtown, you know, with other executives, like people that are lawyers, like some big players in different nonprofits. You know, after work they meet up at a bar or something. I'm like, what? And I just show them like, I didn't even know this was a thing. This
Yeah,
is when I
yeah.
was single. You know, I would go after work and meet with other work and just keep working.
Right, right.
And these guys are like, Juan, like, I see you doing a lot of art, and I'm like, yeah, it's like. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm just like making a little bit like under minimum wage right now. Like, it's not, I don't make a lot, like, you know.
Yeah.
And they're like, yo, why not? Like, uh, just ask for what you're worth. And I'm like, oh, okay. And like, if no one kind of woke me up, it's really hard to ever grow in your life, you know?
Yeah.
And it's true. Like,
Someone got to plant that seed.
yeah. And that's it. So for me too, it's like, yes, make time to be generous, make time to give things for free, make time to work to give a discount. But that is to build your reputation, your rapport, and showing the quality that you can produce.
Right.
And then, but after a few years, man, if you've been doing that for 9 years, it's time to go for it now.
Yeah.
You like by the time the ninth year, you are so far ahead from everyone else. You're allowed to ask for your worth, because who
Yes,
else has
sir.
been putting out the
Yeah,
work
you
for the
gotta
last
know.
9 years?
Now it's like you gotta know your worth.
Yeah,
Like you people come across what you're doing, like thinking like, dang man, that's tight. But now you guys gonna hear his story and you're like, man, it didn't happen overnight. Like man, it's been a time coming, you know.
yeah.
And
So,
it's only gonna get better from now. It's only gonna get better
yes,
from here on out, bro. Only up. It's all uphill now, man. It can't, you know. It's
yeah,
gonna get good. It's gonna get better, man. Tap in, man. Like I'm glad you pulled up, man. The city could really hear you, and I know you guys see his murals, man. You drive around Riverside. You know, if you're from Riverside, then you know.
yeah. I want to give just like one more like story of like what this success looks like. It's not just like, oh, it's an artist who built his name up and made murals. Okay, cool. You know, it's like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
that's all right, you know? But there's more than that. Like, what happens when you paint a mural in spaces, like local governments and nonprofits start investing more in those areas. Why do you think there
Mm.
was funding for an event? Why do
Mm.
you think Patterson Park is getting a brand new park right now? They just won $17 million because I painted a mural at Patterson Park,
Yeah.
and then they threw an event called Glow Up, which I was part of the committee too,
Okay.
and help organize the event. And then Parks and Rec took surveys and they took the data, and then they sent it to the state, and the state's like, oh, what, you guys got murals there? All right, we're gonna put money into that. So murals not only beautify the neighborhood, but it kind of encourages
The city to give
city,
back and get more involved.
yes, and say, hey, they're doing more work than us, we better roll up our sleeves too.
Hey, you ain't even
Get-
lying. You ain't lying. That's a good. You're doing the community's doing more work than the actual city is sometimes.
Yeah,
You gotta wake
sometimes,
them up.
but
You gotta
then-
wake them up.
But then they get shook, and then they come in hard too. Like, if you go to Lincoln Park right now, all the lights are redone. Every tree is trimmed. Every blade of grass is perfect because there was an event coming. Like, they just probably dropped more than 10 G's building, making the park better.
Yeah. That's
because
cool,
people
man.
are going to visit from all over the city and find out what's going on there.
Right.
So murals bring attention to the needs of the communities, and that's why it's important. Why I continue to create art in the East Side and prioritize that over everyone during these years is because I was building for this community.
You're
and
really
then,
building this
And
community
then
up.
other people that are smarter than me, because they're definitely like more professionals that have good hearts, that care about community, that want you to have a healthier life. They want you to, have a family and feel safe to raise your kids in that in that neighborhood. So those people are like, they have budgets too, and they want to put those budgets to use to improve everyone's life in that area. So for me, it's like, like it's much more than just a successful artist story. It's like a transformation of a community, and I'm like a catalyst. It's called catalyst of change, or in chemistry, it's like we want this reaction to happen, but you need a catalyst for the reaction to happen faster. So then change can happen.
Got you.
So like I'm kind of that middle ingredient that kind of expedites the change, because if it wasn't for our efforts with the Riverside Art Museum, with the Riverside Community Health Foundation, and there's other community leaders like the residents of Eastside Active in Leadership. These are all just shout outs to like different nonprofits and community groups that I work with.
Right.
Like it wasn't for their efforts to leveraging the work that I do, we wouldn't have a transformed Eastside. So, and then even when Andy Melendres is around, they won a transformation climate change grant, which is worth 33 million. And when I say these monies are coming in, I don't get any of it. Okay, just know, like I don't get any of that.
Yeah.
But what happens is that the public gets that. That means our services get better.
Right.
Like our lighting gets better. We get solar panels. Right now they're giving like free solar panels to any family in the East Side that wants it, because that budget paid for that. They got the RTA upgraded now. They got they got money too. So like our buses in our areas are better looking. Like
they look brand new. They look brand new.
And these are rolling out. So there's millions that are yet to be spent. So they're already won, but you'll see them being spent slowly in the next 5 years. Even affordable housing, the Entrada project off Chicago, and of Chicago over there by Patterson Park as well. They build a whole new development for affordable housing there. And that's just to help families like, have a nicer life that may not be able to afford a regular house price.
Right.
And people can apply for that. So for me, like seeing all of those things happen, yes, I'm just a painter and just an artist and I organize with the community, but all these other blessings come when you chase your purpose. It allows others with their purpose to chase their purpose too. And it just like, it's this energy, bro.
Domino effect.
Yeah, it's this big energy. Everyone wants to be part of the story, and the story for good, basically, to improve the community.
Yeah, man, and the story's being written right now as we speak. Mm-hmm. It's not done yet. As for food wise, if you could say, what's some good places to eat in Riverside, like off the top of your head, where we going? You can give a handful.
For me, panini kebab, which is by Tyler Mall, super healthy.
Okay, I haven't heard of that
one. Mediterranean food.
Okay.
Just super healthy. Anything you eat there, it's gonna be good. I also in the East Side, I do like Habanero Grill. I think their style of their beans and rice are good, and I trust their quality.
Right.
So I think that's a good Mexican spot once in a while. And I think obviously if you're in Park Avenue, visit El Trigo, because one of my murals are there.
Yeah. They got some
by.
good tacos right there too.
Yeah,
I've been getting the carne asada tacos.
I think they call it TJ style, where they'll put nopales in there too. So you get tacos with a nopales salad in it, and that's pretty bomb. Like when I was younger, I didn't really like nopales, but now just to honor like my culture more so, like I actually do enjoy them, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. This is the food that our ancestors grew up on. It's like chicharron and all that stuff. Like as kids, I'm like, no, not chicharrones, but now as like a grown person, like food is part of our culture, and we should really embrace it and find ways to enjoy it, within reason, of course. But.
Yeah, man. That's cool, man. Man, I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad my boy pulled up, man. LMTV podcast, Trust the Process, episode 11. We hitting double digits. We just started. This is a new journey for me too as well. And I've been doing videography for 9 years. Mm-hmm. So like
Let's
I was doing
go.
music. I was doing music, and then we went to videography. Why? Because I need income, side income.
Yeah.
You know, because I still work my 9 to 5. Still at the
Yeah.
warehouse working. But when I get off warehouse, I come straight to here, and it's just like, what can I create now?
Hey, that's part of the dream. This moment is part of the dream. Like, no matter what, like, whoever works overtime, right? You work, you come back home and you do that overtime.
Yeah,
That's gonna pay off. Um, and it's just part of the journey.
it's the
Uh,
time that some people aren't willing to put in. That makes that difference.
yeah, and for me, like, this is the way I look at it sometimes too. Before I used to be like, when I was starting out, I'm like, man, I'm so available and no one's contacting me. I don't know where to, find work or anything. But there was a moment where now I miss those days. Now, like, if everyone's like hitting you up, you always want work for people, and you're kind of like, dang, you own everyone something.
Yeah,
But also enjoy this moment where, like, if you need a little bit of the break, right, you can
yeah,
enjoy it and you can take it. Or also, sometimes being the most available, you're the most flexible and you can adapt to new situations.
yeah, sir.
So there's still room for you to fill in the clients you want to work with.
Yeah,
But once you have a slated, like, okay, now I have my 5 commitments. I'm like, bro, now it's really hard to bring in new clients. Then you'll have to decide, like, do I need to keep this client and then keep my full time job, or am I gonna, suffer for a while if I remove this job and like keep? So there's always that place where you're just it's every level. The challenges change.
yeah,
So the challenges you have now will be very different than the challenges as you grow. But just because like now my opportunity is greater doesn't mean that I don't face challenges. Like, dude, those challenges are always going to be there if you're pushing yourself, of course. If you're honoring, your
yeah,
work or your practice, you're trying to improve.
yeah, yeah.
And that will always be inside you. Like, I just want to get
Yeah,
better. I
because
want to
you
improve.
know, what can I fix? What can I do?
Yeah.
Like, there's always something. Like, there's always something to be done.
Yeah. So
Like,
I feel like that every day still. I'm like, yo, those designs that I'm doing, like, I don't know how I pulled that Casablanca one off. Like, for real. It's like,
I did. I remember the first time you did it, right?
yeah.
And I took the drone. I took a drone footage, and I went all the way out. The drone all the way past Home Depot.
Oh, wow.
Bang! I kept going. But then the next day, right? The next day, I'm driving by, and I'm like, he added something right there. I think you added something, because you just started it, and I remember I think you added the army guys, or you added
Oh,
something,
yeah,
and I was like, oh shoot! I was like, man, I can't even put up that video I just did
yeah.
because he added some stuff. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
that
process.
one was nice. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm so proud of that one. Eventually, I want my future work to top it too. But obviously, it's all about the space, and those themes belong to that community.
yeah,
Like I said, like, that mural could never exist anywhere else in the world.
yeah.
Like, that mural could only live in that neighborhood.
Even how you broke down how
Yeah,
that statue in downtown.
yeah,
He lived in Casablanca neighborhood,
yeah.
and you put that on the wall. Like, I didn't know that. That's tight. Like, it is really in depth into that. It took a lot of thinking, into that.
Yeah, so that's part of design. Like, when I'm designing, I am so stressed. Like, it's like I am obsessively thinking, like, what is the best choice? And as an artist, you gotta make 1,000 decisions,
Mm,
right? You gotta make 1,000 decisions. You can go left or right, left or right. Should I make it this color or this color? Should I make it this shape or this shape? How many elements should I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's just your brain's like, and you're overthinking, and to design something like that, sometimes it takes a few days, and I have to go through 5 or 8 bad designs
yeah,
to
yeah,
the one that I'm happy with, and then I'll show my client after that.
right.
And it's never a one time, like, oh, it's ready. There's always, and or I'll critique it. So it's just a life of constantly searching of what could be better, and that within itself is difficult, but it's part of the journey. It's part of the process. So
Yeah, man. Well, like I said, we got Juan Navarro, man, also the owner of Eastside Art House. Really bringing up the community, doing something that's never been done in the community, man. So go tap in on his DM or even swing by and check out his spot. Like you said, it's $200. To sign up if you
yeah,
want.
it's like a monthly thing if you
Yeah,
want to be a member, but it's okay. Not everyone needs to be a member. If you follow the Instagram account, you guys can also see public events. So it is a private space during the week. But if you want to not be a member, but you still want to support us, come out to our events, support with the merch,
yeah, man.
or or just like enjoy what we bring. Like if we bring a free community event, like go to it, get everything that's free there, bring your family and relax, you know, and hopefully we do more of that too.
Yeah, man, that's perfect, man. Like I said, I'm glad you pulled up, man. I appreciate it once again.
Thank you.
And yeah, trust the process. LMTV podcast, episode 11, man. We'll see you, man. Till next time.